Hi everyone. So today I wanted to do a run through of all of my current Franken items in my collection and also all the pans in my collection. I thought it would be good to kind of take note of this at the beginning of the year, just because my Franken collection and my pan collection just shift so much through the year and they are kind of dependent on each other. So a lot of pans are created because of Frankens and yeah, not quite vice versa, but you know. So let me go ahead and organize this. These are all my Frankens. Let me go ahead and organize this by, I think, face first, and then we'll kind of go into eyes and lips and so on and so forth. So let me figure this out here. But I have been very excited about my Franken collection. It is honestly most of what I use day to day, and I am very proud of it. I feel like I've gotten like pretty decent at frankening, and it's just been something I've been really enjoying. So I'm gonna move some things just so they're not distracting you guys. Off to the side here, so I don't want to get too confused between things. Yes, here we go. All right, lip stuff, please move over. All right. So for face things, I have these items here to show you. I think I have one more in this palette, actually. And let me show this one to you first so it doesn't get too distracting. So I did make a Franken blush in here recently, and as you can see, it's already kind of cracked, but it's been holding together. So I'm just gonna, make that work. But it's quite dark and red, and so I do actually use it as sometimes part of my underpainting, just because that's how scared I am of it. So it still shows up quite nice as something that I underpaint, but that's that. On the topic of blushes, let's do this one too. I also repressed this kind of in a, I think it was in a similar one, but this one's a little bit lighter. I pressed it with some lighter shadows, and so it's a little bit softer, not as intense. It does look a little intense, doesn't it, on my hand, but I feel like, I don't know, it's something softer about that formula and a little bit more wearable. I don't know if it comes off on camera, but that is that. And then these look like blushes, but it's actually not. It's actually this shade up here that's a Franken, and is more of actually like it's quite dark. Surprisingly, it's actually, it's a little bit warm, but I'm not quite sure how to describe that. It's like both warm and cool. It's really interesting shade. I think it's because I blended both warm and cool shades together, and it turned out as both versus more cool. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's quite dark. I honestly am trying to figure out what to do with this palette, but I think I'll figure that out later this year. Other blush products, color products, is this Franken cream. I don't know, it looks crazy in here, I know, but that's like part of the process of frankening. So this was a cream highlighter, and then I mixed in kind of a very bright, this is the Danessa Myricks cream blush. I mixed that in here as like just part of it right now, just kind of more experimental. Quite a soft formula. I'm trying to figure out what to do with that, but makes it much more wearable, because before it was like, I don't know, I feel like 3 times as pigmented and dark and bright, and it was just really difficult to work with. All right, these I guess are the boring face products. I'm not sure why I left these for last. These are actually the same. It looks different because I think just the packaging on this Fenty one was designed to be shimmery. But honestly, this is what is in here. It's a Franken, I guess it's a tinted moisturizer at this point. This one originally housed the mixing medium from MAC, which I think is the same formulation as our face and body I guess tinted moisturizer, and I was using that in a lot of my concoctions for foundation, but then I just like pulled the trigger and put the rest of my foundation in here, mix it up, and then using this one actually on my vanity, like in my makeup basket day to day, just because this looks nicer and is like easier to grab for versus, as you can see, markings are rubbing off. It's not that aesthetically pleasing. It feels bulky because this can actually hold up to like 55 milliliters of product versus this is 15. So I think about 3 of these, and then I'll be done with this. So I'll report back once I am done with that. But I am really hoping to work out foundations all together through this process. So that's that there. This is my DIY loose face powder. I mix, I don't know, upwards 3, 4, 5 products in here at a time. As you can see, I'm quite low on my current iteration of it, and I can get through about 1.5 of these. I think it only holds about 3 to 5 grams of product in here, depending on like how much I really fill it up. But it's been a really good way to incentivize me to use up my loose powders, just because I have, you know, once you buy it, it's quite a large amount. Also, I'm able to mix in shades in here that I don't normally like use otherwise. Like I have even some eyeshadows that are quite sheer that I can mix in here. Blushes sometimes I'll mix in here to make it a pinkier one. Even bronzers I can mix in here to kind of deepen up the tone and to allow it to match my skin tone, because the like the base powders that I put in here are really light, including a powder sunscreen, which is like zinc oxide, and that is white as white. So I think that's been a really nice option, like another option for me to mix in things and use up products that way. So honestly, I have things that I wouldn't have otherwise used up by doing this method of mixing it into my loose setting powder. Okay, and then the last thing here is my setting spray. I know this is a branded setting spray, so it doesn't look like it. This is in the MAC setting spray. The nozzle here is probably what I've tried is the best on the market. I haven't used everything on the market, but this nozzle is, I think, one of the best. And I think they made it like permanently part of their Fix Plus line now. All that to say, this is actually a mix of glycerin, water, and I think I have it right here, the Makeup Forever makeup fixer or Aqua Seal, just to try to make it more of a makeup fixing type of product. So that's my concoction for this. But I recently just put this in here, and so far I've only used it a few days, and I don't really have that many complaints, to be honest. It still comes out of the nozzle just fine. I was kind of, some of the Frankens I've made in here don't come out of the spray nozzle very well, but this one comes out just as a great fine mist. So that is my face products. All right, let us move into the lip or eye products. Let's do eye products. You already saw some of it here. And I don't know if I mentioned, sorry, just going back to face really quick. I don't know if I mentioned this. This is a really interesting one. This one used to be a highlighter, and then I mixed it, and now it's more of like a bronzing type thing. I really don't know what that shade is. So I think either it's gonna be mixed into my loose setting powder, or I'm gonna mix it further and kind of use it as a base for maybe some other concoctions, but it's a Franken technically. Okay, so eye products. Okay, these two here. I think that's it for now. Okay. So, oh, and this one. All right. So obviously eyeshadow Frankens are, I think, probably what you would think of whenever you think of Franken makeup. So I think I'm just gonna go through it. I have, I think 4 shades in here. All 4 of these are all Franken shadows. As you can see, some are more full and some aren't as full. Some are quite shimmery, some aren't. And a lot of these I did with a dry press, which was a really interesting process, but that's that. I think this one here is a Franken. Both of these are Frankens. You can definitely tell by the speckled look on them because I dry pressed them and just like mashed it all in here. So that one, those are Frankens. And then this one as well is a Franken palette. So not all of it's Frankens. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's obviously a Franken. I love the colorful Franken eyeshadows. They're so pretty, and not that I'm going to reach for this all that much, but it's quite nice to look at. It kind of looks like the earth, doesn't it? Isn't that cool? Actually, this one, why did I point to this one? This one is not a Franken. This one is, this one is a Franken. So that is that. And then here is my Franken eyeshadow palette. I don't reach for this very often. I think it was just like a very experimental eyeshadow palette that I did based off of an Estee Lauder. Sorry, these are like shaking and they're bothering me, so I'm gonna put them to the side until I talk about them. This is off of an Estee Lauder palette that they, a limited edition one that they released last year that kind of had this like panless eyeshadow something. And of course theirs was themed with like flowers and things like that. But I was like, that's really interesting, and I have enough graveyard eyeshadows to try to pull that off. So that's what this is. I pull this into projects every once in a while just kind of as an interesting product for a prompt, but otherwise I think it's, I just kind of keep it around as one of my Frankening experiments. All right, let's talk about these that were wibbly wobbly because the caps are rounded, but I wanted to show you, you can kind of see on the back, you can't see it so much on this one, but these are, actually this one I'm technically using as a face product, so I'm not, I think I just totally am used to it as an eye primer that recently I just Frankened 2 shades together. Half of it is Bougie from MAC and half of it is Groundwork from MAC. Like, yeah. So I, both of them together actually make a decent contour shade. It's really interesting contour shade, but I'm trying to pull it off as a underpainting for my contour. You can kind of see, right, like how it can come off as a contour, but Bougie in itself has green shimmers in it or sparkles in it, so it like, I feel like sometimes if I do too much of that shade in particular, it will come off that way. And then I had a very shimmery portion of my groundwork paint pot because that was how I mixed it, how I was frankening it last year. So I actually pushed it into here once I like excavated half of this was originally bougie into the other one to use as contour, and then saved half of it to actually use as an eye primer. But really I was just trying to figure out how to house the shimmery portion, which I also actually mixed in with the cream highlighter because it was like super like getting to be like dry and chunky and like flaky. And my swatches are probably less and less because I've had so many swatches on the same arm. But as you can see here, it's kind of a more shimmery thing. And so this one I do use mainly as, I probably could actually, no, it's a little too dark for a highlighter, but it's pretty good for an eye base. So I've been pretty happy with that so far. Okay, so that is all my eye products. Put these over here. Kind of just figuring out wherever I have room. Let me swap some things. Maybe I'll give myself some room here. All right, so those are my lip products. Do I have anything else? I mean, my lip palette, obviously. And make sure I mention these over here. Okay, so these are my Franken lips as of now. I have 2 more that are in my purse, but I didn't really have time to pull those in, so I'm not going to mention that here. But I think I recently did these lip balms as Franken's. You can't really tell just because they're all the same shade, but you can tell. Well, you can only tell because this is really janky and like I shoved this in here, and we're gonna see how this goes. But it is technically a functional Franken lip product. This one is also really pretty. This one looks like a Franken lipstick, but it's more like a tinted lipstick, and I've done several swatches of these in the previous videos. Those turned out really nice. And then this has actually been really enjoying this, and I've used up so much of it. Do you see how much I've like crank up? There's only about this much left of the balm, and yeah, this one's really pretty too. This one was made out of, I think, a strawberry flavored lip balm and the Refi wine lip blush, which was really nice. And this was like a concoction of like 2, 3, 4, maybe 3 or 4 lip glosses. And it the strongest base out of this, like fragrance base out of this, is a coffee flavored lip gloss from Summer Fridays. Is that what the brand is called? And I don't love it, but it's functional, and I'm trying to, actually it kind of has a milky base because I did also have like a lip gloss in here that was a little bit too light. So apparently that trend is going around now with like lippy concealer type lips is coming back, which I don't know, but that's what this looks like and what this reminds me of. So I'll use it and try to work through this by the end of the spring. This is kind of a Franken lip gloss. As you can see, it's kind of shimmery. The original gloss in here was super shimmery, like a pink to green shift. But then I bought just like a plain lipstick base and added that. And I actually hadn't cleaned out the lip gloss that was in here previously. I'm just going to swatch it right here. I don't think you're going to be able to tell. It's basically clear with like a bit of glitter, really. So I added that in, and just like, I guess it just makes really dilutes the glitter in here, which is actually quite nice. And technically I would count it as a Franken lip gloss, and I think I overfilled it because it keeps on oozing out every time I use it. So that is, you know, my experience with Frankening is sometimes I overfill things. Often I overfill things and will, you know, have to lose some product because of that. It's always a messy process, both in making it and using it. So, you know, proceed with caution. And then this is my lip palette. I just refilled this for the new year, and it looks crazy because this whole side is all stuff from my Franken, my lip graveyard. So it's just a mix of whatever was in there. I think there was at least 5, 6, 7 different lipsticks. Some of them were balmier, some of them were, you know, more firm. Like it was all over the place. These were other, I don't even remember what some of these are anymore. This lip palette's gone through a lot, and especially in the last year I've just mixed a lot of stuff. But this is a really great way for me to one, use these as lip products and have it like all together, but also I'm able to use it as Oftentimes I do use it as cream blush as well. Of course, the ones that are more balmy don't work that well, but the other ones that are more stiff or have more pigment are actually quite nice for that use. So planning on whipping this out later in the year. I have some other lip products that I really want to focus on right now, but I think this type of palette, this type of lip palette will, I think, be a staple in my collection for a very, very long time. All right, so if you were counting at all, I showed about 28 different Franken products, and my desk is a mess. Sometimes I can wipe it down, and sometimes this is what my desk looks like. Sorry, but anyways, I have 28 products that I showed here, and then I have 2 more in my purse, and so that altogether is about 30 Franken products in my collection, which is honestly a lot. I think day to day I use about, I'm just trying to count in front of me, 1, 2, 3, 4 now, 5, 6, about 6, at least 6 products, I think, that are, maybe 7 actually. It's about 7 products that are out of my Franken collection, which I think is great. Sorry, nothing to see here, unfortunately. All right, what I should have been doing is while I was talking was actually pull out my next set of things I want to show you, which is my pan products. So this is what currently has pan. Some of it's through Frankening, but honestly, I do try to pan things first before I pull them into Frankens, unless I am like that annoyed by a product and like really can't even muster up the commitment to pan something. So that's pretty rare. I do try to at least pan something and then Franken it. So so this right now is just a subset of my collection, very small honestly for a panner, but I think that these are like pure pans. Like it's not mixed with anything. There's no other stuff in these components right now. So just wanted to show it as is because it's going to be moving around in my collection very soon. I'm showing this one more time. This is the last time I will be showing this palette in my on my channel because I'm actually retiring this palette, I think, today. I will actually, I got a huge pan on this. It was actually a Franken shade, so I could have technically included in that, but I also did get a little bit more use on these 2 dark shades. I put in Franken products in the rest of these. I had organically used up this one, or I don't think I organically used up this one, but there's a few shades in here that I organically used up, like from the original shades, and then I Franken stuff in here, kept on working at it, but I think I'm going to put this one to rest. It will go into my Frankening archives, just because I don't think anybody would want a empty palette, but this one holds a lot of sentimental and nostalgic value to me, even though it's been in my collection for only, I bought it about a year and 3 months ago, really. But I already had a big, went through a lot with that one already. Okay, so from here, most of these I think are, yeah, they're all like face products essentially. So I think I just pick them up and go. So this is an Hourglass like mini powder, and I organically hit pan in this and have continued to do so mainly as an under eye powder. Very tempted to put this into my DIY loose setting powder, just scrape a bit. That's how I work through other mineral powders, but honestly this is nice enough to use that I actually am willing to use it up organically, and I'll just try to stick with that until I, like, for some reason, impulsively, right, hence my channel name, impulsively feel like I need to use it up faster for some reason. So we'll go with that. The next one here is my, it's not the Benefit Rock Couture blush. It's actually a magnetic pan, which is really nice. And I put in my MAC Omega shadow. As you can see, I have kind of 2 pans in here. I'm working on that middle before I do anything with this. That's my goal right now as one of my projects. And yeah, honestly, the walls, the sides are super thin because I use this actually as a contour topper. And then I've also been using it in my crease and my eyeshadow as well to kind of really try to get at my goal here of using it up. But yes, this one has been serving me very well. This one I just showed earlier, the Nessa Myricks cream blush in Rose and Brunch. Super pigmented. Let me show you next to my other swatch. I think this was the swatch of the diluted one, and then this is it full on. And it just lays down really, really bold. And so super glad I found a way to mix this and make it a little bit more workable for me day to day, because honestly, I cannot sit there and continue to blend it and blend it and blend it. And actually on that note, this is the Tatcha primer. And I do have pan in this, as you can see. Just pulled into a project to use a few more times, and then I'm thinking of actually mixing the two as an option to kind of, you know, dilute that just a bit. Really enjoy this one, mainly because actually it smells like Earl Grey. It's quite kind of an older product, not in my collection, but I got it from Glambot, which they sell older products and like used, you know, swatched products essentially. And I'm not exactly sure how old this is, but it smells like Earl Grey, so I like that. Probably not a purchase for me. The texture isn't quite what I need for my primer needs, but it is a nice primer, nice packaging, all that stuff. All right. This is another cream blush. This is the Lawless one. Both of these came in a Sephora kit last year. And I pan on this and then I pretty much stopped using it. It's quite a lighter blush than the Danessa Myricks one. And I'm thinking of actually pulling it in sometime soon just to use during these winter months while I'm a little bit paler. All right, two more powder products, I think. So this one is a Burberry eyeshadow, and this is in Rosewood. As you can see here, I have a nice pan. I basically hit pan in this, was it a month? I dug through this thing. It was crazy, and then since then I've been using it a little bit more. Actually really enjoyed it as a contour topper as well. If you can see the theme there of me trying to figure out what can be a contour topper. Eyeshadows as contour topper, but my goal this year will just be to kind of wear off the pattern there and then widen the pan and potentially franken it, especially with this, you know, Omega shade. These are kind of similar in terms of tone, and especially once this one starts getting difficult to use, I think it would make sense to mix some of this one in there or something of that sort. And then the last one here is honestly one that I've been kind of neglecting. I call this a bronzer. This is from MAC. It's from a very long name. The name of it is Into Eternity from their Electric Wonder Iridescent Powder line. This was a limited edition thing. I picked it up at a CCO. Beautiful packaging, but the gold bits are starting to wear off. Like you can't even see the word MAC on there anymore, I think. Very, very faint. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It's basically a bronzer. And let me see if I have a clean finger to swatch it on, maybe my pinky. But yeah, it's a really weird shade. Sorry for that very awkward swatch. But yeah, I think it's right between a blush and a bronzer, and it's just weird. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with it this year. I would love to, I'm not even sure what to do with this packaging because of it wearing off. I don't know if once the gold wears off that it'd be nice to use as something else. But honestly, I'm not as enamored by this as I used when I first got it, essentially is what I'm trying to say. So that wraps it up. If you were counting, that should have been about 10 pans that I just showed you there. I mean, there's some additional pans like in my eyeshadow collection that I didn't quite pull out. Actually, I have a few more here that I just noticed. So let me just quickly, okay, I'll just show you my eyeshadow ones because I think it's just a few. Okay. So this is, I don't even remember what this one is. This one might be Cork from MAC. That one's pan. This is Wood Winked from MAC. And then, of course, my MAC concealer palette has pans. So just wanted to quickly show that because they're technically pans. Okay, now I think I've shown you maybe actually more than 10 pans, maybe 12. So much less pans than I have in my Franken collection. But I think given the way I Franken and pan things, like these two categories are very related to each other, and I think give a good snapshot of like my success as a panner and the way that I use my items. And yeah, honestly, I feel like I have a good mix of things that I'm using between items I do have panned and items that I've frankened, and especially the franken items, because my franken items I franken for my own purpose and for my own needs, and thus I actually use them, versus a lot of things that I pan out of the sake of panning, and then I work it into my frankening needs as I need them. So yeah, we'll see how it shifts over the year. I have a few things that are ready to be rolled out, I think, within the next few months. So we'll see if I do an update on these numbers, whether it be you know, in 6 months, or whether it be at the end of the year / you know, beginning of next year, just to give another snapshot of how things have moved. But it is really interesting for me to try to keep track of this stuff because it's so dynamic in my collection, which is why I do regular makeup dates. If you haven't been watching those, I basically give you an update of how things have been moving in my collection, both like actually new products, empties, and then like any Franken things that have happened in, I'm going to do them every 2 weeks or so this year. So hopefully you'll watch those if you want to see me working through this stuff real time. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking your time to watch this. Hopefully you found it interesting and maybe even inspiring to franken your makeup and to use things up. But that's kind of where my collection is right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.